This video is brought to you by Osmocote, the Planters plant food.
I'm Amy Grisak, a garden writer in Great Falls, Montana, and today I'm going to talk to you about using buckwheat as a cover crop. Now, buckwheat is an excellent gateway green manure because it germinates quickly, it provides a lot of nutrients to the soil and really good organic matter, and plus it's really easy to manage. Now, this particular bed, I had my garlic planted, and so I harvested that about the end of July, first part of August, and I just literally grabbed a couple handfuls of buckwheat and threw it in. This is probably a little bit thicker than what I wanted, but see, the nice thing is it smothers out the weeds really, really well. If you're going to plant buckwheat in a more meticulous fashion, if you have it about an inch apart and a half an inch deep, even though I literally just threw it on the ground and kind of raked it in, then that's a really good way to do it. Germinates really, really quickly in 55-degree soil. It'll take maybe 3 to 5 days as long as you have some water on it. So it really gets going quick, which makes it nice if you have, like the garlic, midsummer crops that you're taking out. This is a really good way to get nutrients back into the soil in short order. It's also nice when you're pulling out the spring crops too, like with the lettuce and spinach and peas and that type of thing. You a lot of times will have time to be able to seed it in a buckwheat crop, turn it under, and then when it's time to put in, say, the heat-loving tomatoes and peppers and things like that, it'll be really ready to go and really good for those new vegetables. So with buckwheat, as you can see, it started flowering. Now once it starts flowering, you have about 7 to 10 days that you're going to want to turn it into the soil, or it can get a little bit unruly. So basically, I'm just taking my shovel and just turning it under. So it's super easy. I did water this before because, of course, once again, we're in a drought situation, so didn't get much rain. But so I'm just going to turn it under like this and just leave it. For me, for this bed, I may not put anything else in it since we're into September and looking at winter in the not so near future. But if I were to do this, say, in the spring, and I was turning this over in June, getting ready for some later crops, I would turn it over and let it set for at least 3 weeks in order for the buckwheat to break down. Because if not, if you plant seeds or plants in the decomposing, basically, bed, it'll attack those new plants or those new seeds and they won't grow very well. So once you turn it under the soil, if you're going to plant, you do want to have at least 3 weeks buffer in there before you do that. Now, with some of my later crops this summer, for example, when my tomatoes are done, that soil will probably still be warm because a frost or a freeze might take out the plants, but a lot of times we have a warm-up that continues into the fall. So say when I pull my tomatoes out, I'm going to sprinkle buckwheat. It'll start to come up. It may not get to this size, but it's going to come up, and then I'm just going to let winter take care of it. It dies quickly with a frost, and that way it'll have those roots in that area, and I won't have to worry so much about the wind erosion that we have so many problems with. So buckwheat is really good as a cover crop. It adds a lot. It likes to pull phosphorus from the soil, pulls it into its plant tissue, and so then when you chop it down or when it dies, it becomes more accessible for the plants that you grow. It also adds a lot of organic matter, and it's just a really good way to cover the soil in between crops so you're not making the soil prone to overheating and evaporation and erosion. So give it a try, cannot hurt. It's another one too that it really can't get away from you and get too weedy. It can reseed if you let it go, but even if it does, it's really easy to kill. So if you've never done green manures, the cover crops before, go grab some buckwheat, put it in those bare spots, and I think you'll be really happy in the long run.